Hey everyone, Mac is back. Continuing the Commander series. We're going to do another 3 Commanders today. So let's just get to it. We're going to start off with Julien. And looking at Julien for the Rebel leaders, if you are fighting, he is actually very good in a lot of aspects of this game. So Julien is one of those commanders you're going to want to increase your all his power, his stats, a lot of different things. He's very useful in this game, and for Rebel leaders especially because he just does a lot of damage. As you can see here, looking at his guard skills, these are the skills that he's going to be using while he's in there. So I mean, you're talking about he's a Scorching the Lands, deals 25,000 damage to the targets in a straight line, and he also reduces their defense as well. So that actually will help increase the damage that's going to be dealt to that Rebel leader. So if he's against a cavalry, no doubt you're going to put him in there. Against a bow, you're going to put him in there as well, most likely, especially if you have him upgraded to gold. And even against another spear, then you might even want to consider that as well, depending on your other commanders and what you have. He's very talented and very good. And then looking at for the army, well, he's basically a total attack commander, and he does the infantry, cavalry, and spear attack, each get up to 30% when you get him gold, which is absolutely fantastic. So you're going to want those as well. And then when it comes to the awakening skills, obviously you can see that in the specialization here, once you awaken him, it gets another 13 or 18% on top of that, which is obviously very good. And then his skills inside, the hidden abilities, you're going to get another 26 to 28% more on top of that. So massive amount of attack. So he's going to be a staple in your army almost every time. The only reason you probably wouldn't want him in there is if if you're going with a Layla setup and you want another female commander, but even then it's going to be hard to take him out with the amount of stats that he brings to the table. So you're going to probably want him in there as well. I know I do for sure. And then looking at his special skill here, his Widow Lover. For every 1 attack made by the lineup of troops Commander Julien, troops Commander Julien belongs to, the troops attack damage increases by 2%, a max of 12%. So nothing too spectacular. Okay, so you can get up to 12%, after he's, the troops have attacked. So a few times. So it'll get you 12% extra bonus damage, which we went damage. So, but is it worth the 320? I don't think so. I think you can spend it in some other kind of better places as well. So let's go look at the tavern. And here in the tavern, you can see his combat rate is 4 before the awakening, and then once you get him 2 stars, then you'll get him to 5. So the combat rate is very good. The command, again, I've talked about this before. It's not too bad, but it's the lesser of the ones that you want to get. And then the gold you really don't care about too much. And now talking about the training grounds, he is one of, if not one of the best, if not the best in the training grounds. Even when there's no blessing for a male commander or a spear or ranged commander or something like that, Julien just does so well because of his skill. If he gets that skill off at 25,000, a lot of times in the middle to even later part of the training grounds battle, all he does is have to get that off, and then if your opponent has their commander stacked up, then he's just going to do 25,000 damage to every single one of them, which is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Plus he's kind of tanky with his 41,000 health, and then his base damage of being 8,500 is really good too, plus some defense in there, and he adds defense. You're talking 12,000, almost 13,000 defense, which is really good. So he's doing a lot of good stuff here. Every 5 attacks he does 13,000 damage added to his attack, and strategy for 5 seconds. So that 5 seconds, you add that to his attack down here, and you're talking another 21 to 22,000 damage. And then he gets a damage reduction for every 10 seconds when he is attacked. So he's actually when he's taking damage, it's being reduced as well. So you can actually put him for a front line, which is very good. Next, we're going to have Annie. And looking at Annie for Rebel leaders, she's actually pretty good when it comes to the Rebel leaders. And the reason I say that is because she can actually, when she gets her ability off, the wise no, she'll add might, and she'll add defense, and she'll add attack to all allies in a circular area, especially so when you get her in the middle of your lineup in the back row. And she can actually be a little bit of a tank too with the 43,000 health and some defense in there. Not highly recommended though. I would say you want to keep her kind of in the back. You want to keep her in the back line, or actually you don't want to tank her too much. I mean, I guess if you could do it against Cav, but there are other Cav ones in there that are probably better that you're going to put in front. So she's actually pretty good for most Rebel leaders, not even just the Cav ones, because when she gets this ability off, she's basically giving, to all allies, she's talking 1,700 damage. So you times that by 6, and that's what you're looking at. So which is almost 10,000 damage for 9 seconds, and then she's obviously trying to get an ability off again. So once she does, it's another 10,000 damage per second. So that's doing quite a bit. Now, when it comes to the army, she's very good as well, and the reason I say that is because she has total attack. So you're looking at the 15% total attack when you get her gold. You're looking at 15% total defense, and you're looking at some spear health. So if you have a spearman frontline, really, really good for a spearman frontline. And if you have a spearman backline, still pretty good as well. Looking at her awakening very quickly, she has the skill that says when casting an active army skill, directly wipe out 3% of the target's currently deployed troops. Value cannot exceed 3% of Annie's currently deployed troops. So not bad. It depends on obviously the sizes. The sizes are going to matter there. So wiping out 3% of the targeted troops could be pretty good. Just depends on the size that you're going to have at that point. So is it worth it for the 320? I think it is. It depends on where you are in the game. If you're kind of a little bit lacking, then maybe, and you have other commanders that might need to be, added more stars to, you probably don't want to make it a priority to get her to 4, but at least get her to 2, and then possibly get her to, try to get her to the 3 when she can really kind of do that damage. So let's go check the tavern. In the tavern, Annie does have combat rate, so that's a good one to go to. And as you can see, I have her to level 52, so that is something that you're going to want to increase as much as you can. She does take books. There are a decent amount in this game that actually they take books. Speaking of, like Kevin does as well, and he's a nice one to get up there too. So your other two, or aptitude or finance, are not really worthy of it. But again, the combat rate is very nice. And for the training grounds and the skills evaluation, for the training grounds, not so much. She's not someone you're going to want to put in there. The support, someone who supports like her. Doesn't really help out enough to be able to do it. She could tank, I guess, if you really wanted to, and of course, this ability, if you can get it off, because sometimes you don't, you in the training grounds you don't get abilities off because they die too quickly. So she might not be able to do much to help you there much. Then here's on her ability. It's the encyclopedic knowledge. Adds 180 to strategy of all allies for 15 seconds at the start of the battle. So that's not too bad. 180 is nothing. Is not too bad at all. And then adds defense, almost 10,000 defense on 180 strategy for 6 seconds, and it triggers once every 15 seconds. So a couple times you can get that off if you're depending on what your which kind of battle you're looking at there. And adds 180 strategy to all allies. So she's really good at giving strategy. Clearly, she does that too. So these abilities are kind of meh, I guess, overall. Nothing too spectacular there. And then I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't use her in the training grounds. And the last commander in this video is going to be Robb Stark. So we're going to go into him real quick. And against Rebel leaders, he actually isn't too bad, again, for a tank when you first start the game. He's very similar to Chris in that respect. He'll be able to take the damage, and he has a 5-second stun ability, which the 5-second stun is one of the best in the game. So that's very nice when you're able to get that off, because he'll be able to stun the Rebel leader for a long time. So you can use him in certain formations when what is it with? I believe it is with Enzo. Depending on the level you have Enzo, I've used him before as either a frontline or backline to stun the Rebel leader, to be able to for Enzo to live a little bit longer, or maybe to get healed by Jean, because Enzo doesn't always, depending on the luck quality you have him at, he may not be able to live long enough to be able to get his massive damage off. So as a Rebel leader, he actually is pretty decent, a little bit better than some other ones, but nothing really great. You're not going to use him in the later stages of this game. As for the army, he does have cavalry health and cavalry defense, but the one thing he does lack is the best one is the cavalry attack. So if you look at his awakening skills, that he does actually give you a little bit of attack in here. I'll give you the 13.5% once you get him to, actually this will go up even more. I have him to 2 stars. Once you get him to 3 stars, it'll go up even a little bit more. So once you're able to do that, then you'll get a little bit higher cav stats in here, which will actually be good for a cav frontline, which nobody really runs a cav frontline. It's good for like a pure cav, a pure cav line, then maybe you're going to do that. That wouldn't be too bad as well. And then this his ability for every one successful cavalry hit, the cav attack plus 2%. So that's not too bad. It doesn't say that it doesn't stack, so you're going to keep adding. Maybe it just adds 2%, 2%, 2%. I've never really used him that much because his stats just aren't really good enough to be able to justify that increasing and using that ability. Let's go check the tavern. And in the tavern, he is one of the better commanders, especially if you're a free-to-play. If you're free-to-play, you're going to want to get him up very, very quickly. He takes weapons, so him and Arya would be the two for free-to-play, because he'll give you the leadership and he gives you the combat rate. And the combat rate is already 4 to start, so that's a very, very nice little addition. As for the training grounds, he is actually very good in there as well for the training grounds, and the reason is because of that 5-second stun that he has. He's very tanky. He has I have him 2 stars and he's 54,000 health, so actually probably go up to over 60,000 health. And then you also get a pretty good base attack of over 6,000 there as well, and his defense is already based at 10,000, so that's really, really good. And the problem is he's only dealing with that ability. He's only dealing 5,000 damage to targets. But but it's in a cone area, so it can do multiple targets. So it's not just the 5,800. You're actually going to do, probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 targets, depending, because if they kind of clump up, depending on what you're fighting against. And then this ability here, it adds defense to all allies at the beginning of the battle. Okay, that's great. That's not really that great. Deals both 2,000 damage to targets every 6 attacks and stuns them for 1 second. So there's a passive stun as well. So that's another reason why he's pretty good when it comes to training grounds, because he can do a passive stun, and that's really, really nice. And this adds a command, which is basically going to be more defense. So he's decent in the training grounds. I've used him for many, many formations. If you are a free-to-play player, I highly recommend putting Robb up front and adding Arya behind him. That way, if someone tries to put a spear commander in front of Robb, then Arya will just take care of him very, very quickly.